Let me first introduce myself. My name is Varkar Paul, and I am the co-founder of My Food Blog. And I and Undrila are siblings, and we will take you through a formal introduction of My Food Blog and what we truly are. So, My Food Blog started 5 years back as our personal love story with food, and soon it gained a lot of appreciation, and we adopted a more professional approach for this page, although we always made sure that we have our honest personal touch intact. Now, 5 years later, we can proudly say that we specialize in food photography, restaurant reviews, brand collaborations, also homemade food recipes. And we are proud to be a part of Team Food Spa, which is India's biggest influencers group. And our founder, Ms. Ondrila, is a part of the Food Spa admin panel as well. So if you guys love our work and if you guys want to see or hear more from us, then make sure to follow us on all our social media handles at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WordPress, etc. And all the links to all our social media handles are already provided. This workshop is conducted to celebrate 5 years of My Food Blog. And it is not about only My Food Blog, it is to celebrate all the love and support all of you guys have been showing us throughout these 5 years. So this is there with the purpose of supporting and encouraging aspiring bloggers, food enthusiasts, and small business owners. So with this, we will take you through a few FAQs regarding the today's workshop. So today's workshop is designed in a way that it is easily comprehensible, especially for beginners, novices, and amateurs. The tips and tricks will be helpful for the experienced audience as well, although they might find some portions very basic, but we all know how important clearing out our basics are. So the workshop has been designed keeping mobile photography in mind. However, most tips and tricks are available to DSLR photography as well, because at the end of the day, your content, your ideas, your compositions, your framing will matter and not the device you are clicking your photos with. If you have any questions, please leave it in the chat box. Throughout the session, if you have any kind of queries, feel free to put it down on the chat box. I will be there moderating the whole session and I will try to give you all the answers. So this was all about the FAQs and all about the introduction. And now we will head on to introduce Undila on the workshop and she will continue the rest of it. Thanks guys. We really hope you guys take something back with you which is valuable to you and you learn even a tiny bit from this workshop. We would be very happy. So Undila, take over.
Okay, so hi guys. Thank you, Arko, for that wonderful introduction. So let's make it interactive and let's just have a lot of fun today. I hope you will be able to learn about how to click good food photographs using just your mobile phones. So even if we have DSLRs, it is not always possible for us to carry it everywhere, right? And nowadays mobile phones are equipped with such great cameras and so great features, so why not utilize whatever we have at hand? So that is why we intended to bring to you some tips and tricks that you can easily apply while clicking photographs with your mobile phone. Without further ado, let's just start on with the presentation. Okay, so before coming to photography, the photography part, let's just see something, let's just address something that is equally important when it comes to food photography, which is food presentation. So before coming to food photography, we should keep a few points in mind while planning, conceptualizing, preparing, and presenting a particular food item. So that is equally important. Think what colors you can add to the dish without tampering with the flavors. Look at the ingredients and packaging and think about how you can use those in your presentation and styling. Try to prepare a few accompaniments along with the dish that you can enjoy eating as well as use for presentation. Use a background that elevates your subject and does not distract away from it. So the food item should be the focus of that photograph. Make sure you have adequate lighting to click it. So this is very important when it comes to mobile photography, especially. Adequate light is really important. So just make sure you have adequate lighting. And there are no hard and fast rules basically. So whatever I'm saying today in this workshop are all, I have gained all this from my personal experience. It's my experience and I want to share these tips and tricks with you so that you can learn from my experience. Okay. The first point was adding colors to your dish without tampering with the flavors. So how can we do that? So here is a picture of dahi papad chaat. It's a healthy chaat. So I have used a lot of colorful vegetables, green, orange, red. There's some yellow, and since the dahi itself is white in color, it's yogurt. So I've plated that in a black plate to make the colors pop. So this is how you can actually add colors to your dish. And a chaat is a very versatile dish, right? So we can add anything and everything to it as we want. It's just according to our own wishes. So try to add colors to your dish, in this way. Second one, it's a palak corn chicken recipe. In this one, as you can see, the green and the red in the dish has been complemented with the green and the red in the background, so that it all comes together and looks really harmonious. And that yellow corn kernels, they just add a pop of vibrancy and brightness to your frame. So you can do that to make your food photographs more colorful. A chocolate explosion cake. So of course, a chocolate cake, you can't really experiment with the colors a lot, especially when you're making it at home. So what I have done here is not the food item itself, but I have added a handmade cake topper which has these blue and yellow and red colors. So all these colors and the natural plants in the background, they all add to the frame, and they just make it look more colorful and more bright and more vibrant. Moving on, how you can use ingredients and packaging for styling. Right. So in this one, it's a milky mayo mushroom Maggi. So what I have done is I have used some of the ingredients like the coriander and the earthy rustic looking mushrooms and a packet of Maggi oat noodles to really complete the frame. And just by looking at this picture, you will understand, okay, so what exactly do I expect from this dish flavor wise? And also there's that ketchup on top that not only adds to the flavors of the dish, but also enhances the entire look. It gives a pop of vibrancy. Another good example of how you can use ingredients for styling. So this is a mango kasundi, and here we have used small raw mangoes and some pods of garlic, some mustard seeds, some chilies. So whatever has gone into making this dish have been actually used as the props in the background. So this is how we can use our ingredients for styling our food photographs. Using the accompaniments for presentation and styling. So whenever you are presenting a snacks, you can always add dips and sauces and condiments to make the frame look more complete, right? Here again, this is a Bengali style pulao, basanti pulao, and here there are fried vegetables in the side, and there are also a few dishes in the frame which are not properly completely visible, but they add to the feeling that okay, so this is not a solitary dish. There is a huge spread that goes with it, and it just makes your audience more curious and more intrigued. Okay, so what exactly are there in this lunch spread? So like that, you can use the accompaniments for presentation and styling. Coming to the crockery and cutlery portion, yes. As I saw that most of you actually already follow this. Avoid visibly worn out utensils, scratched steel utensils, anything which is not shiny, which is not new, which is kind of maybe dirty, it has black spots or it is scratched. So avoid visibly worn out utensils. Try going for ceramic and glass crockery, which you guys already do. It's great to know. You can also try terracotta, wood, brass, bronze, silverware, whatever is available at your home. Select the design according to the dish. So if you are plating a classic Italian dish in maybe a traditional style mud plate, Bengali style mud plate or something like that, it wouldn't really probably look that nice. So just select the design according to the dish, and also select the correct shape and size according to your dish, because if you serve a very small amount of food in a huge bowl or in a huge plate, it will just look incomplete and it will not look appealing. So you have to select a shape and size that suits the quantity and the type of your dish. Do not mix and match sets. Sometimes it is okay. I mean, some people do it really nicely, but mixing and matching different kinds of patterns. So maybe in one frame you have 3-4 items, and all of them are plated in. One is plated in some sort of a patterned dish. Another one maybe a different material. So all together it looks kind of incomplete and does not go together. So do not mix and match sets. Try to use crockery or cutlery that are from the same set. make sure it's spotlessly clean. Very important. No matter how expensive, how fancy your crockery is, if it's not spotlessly clean, it will never look nice. And again, wipe off the runoffs and spills. So if you are maybe plating some gravy, so just make sure that there are no spots of gravy lie here and there. Just clean up the sides of the dish and present it in a nice, neat and clean manner. So I'll just show you some examples. Sorry for the fumble. Show you some examples of different kinds of crockery that I use, and all these are just simple stuff that are available at my home. So nothing fancy, very relatable. Everybody must be having something of this sort or the other at their homes. So I'm just showing you this so that you can understand how you can use whatever is available at home to plate your dish. So here is this terracotta earthen utensils that has been used to serve a simple Bengali lunch. Again, a quintessential Bengali dish, which is prawn malai curry. So this has been served in a kashar thala, which is basically a bronze alloy metal, which is very popular and widely used in Bengal. So it just gives out that typical Bengali vibe. Here is a glass semi bowl sort of a thing in which I've plated my orange oats. So since the oats and it's yellow in color and it is topped with greens and orange colors, so this cool toned blue, which it complements really well. It's a complementary color to the oats. Again, silverware. So as I had said, in our house, like the silver utensils come out only during religious functions or birthdays or special occasions. So this was a birthday mishti or dessert platter, and thus the silver utensils came out. So you can always use silver utensils. Here is a plain, simple white ceramic plate, and it is actually very versatile. You can plate anything and everything in it. Very, useful when it comes to food photography. Simple white plate. So make sure you have at least one simple white plate at your home. It's not even that expensive or anything like that. Okay, and steel. Many of you had said, right, that steel utensils, and of course, why not? Why not use steel utensils? But just that you can use it in such a manner, you have to rather use it in such a manner that, since we all know that steel reflects a lot of light. So if you fill up your plate nicely and present it like this, you can always go for steel utensils. It's completely fine. Right. Coming to the background. So what kind of backgrounds can we use to make our food look better, right? Okay, so do you generally plan that, okay, so I am making this, so I will plate it in such a background and it will look in this manner? So do you plan and then do the entire thing, or you just go with trial and error? Trial and error works completely fine. We have all learned through trial and error. So I am just giving you a few examples what kind of backgrounds look really nice when it comes to food photography. Okay. So there are simple black and white backgrounds, always works. Then there are blues. Blues also look really nice since it's a very cool toned color. For blues, you can go with pastel blues, light blues, dark blues, anything. Just avoid blues that are very, very too bright and just hurts the eyes. So avoid those kind of blue backgrounds. Otherwise, all kinds of blue work. Browns. So wooden panels, your table, your furniture, any kind of brown will work. Any cool colors, so pastel colors, pastel pinks, light pista colors and stuff like that. So all those work really well. Any shade of gray. Gray is a great background for food photography. So you can use any shade of gray for your clicking the pictures. Natural backgrounds and personal environments. Honestly speaking, this is my favorite kind of background because, of course, all these are very classic, but natural backgrounds and personal environments have something so intimate and personal to it that it really, gives up a different kind of vibe altogether. So natural backgrounds is what? It's basically the sky, any plants, anything. The clouds, the rain, it can be anything and everything. And personal environment is your room, your TV, your study table. It can also be a place that you have visited. So not really personal in the sense only related to you, but an environment by looking at which you will automatically understand, okay, so this was the vibe of that place when this picture was being taken. So when I'll show you the examples, I think you'll be able to understand it better. Okay. Yeah, background quality. So before moving on to the examples, we'll just discuss some qualities that should be there in your background. It should not be too glossy because it will reflect a lot of light. Not recommended. No big prints. Small prints are always welcome. You can definitely go for them, but big prints really disturb the whole vibe of the dish, because it just distracts you away from the main focus of attention. Should not be too bright. It should not, background should not be so bright that it is taking away from the food, that it is making the food item look dull. So not recommended. Any neutral backgrounds, thumbs up. Complementary colors, like I had said, yellow oats and the blue plate, so complementary colors. Experiment with textures, so not just plain black or plain white. You can go with maybe a granite slab or maybe a chalkboard. So just experiment with textures. You can use your rug, you can use any wooden furniture. So different wooden furniture have different kinds of textures, like, so you can use those. Clean environment. So when you're going outside, clicking a photograph of maybe street food, the environment should be clean, because I have seen very nice photos just completely ruined by that one garbage bin in the background, or maybe a plastic bag lying around. So just make sure your environment is clean. Fuss free surroundings. So when you are clicking your photo on the dining table, or maybe you have gone to a restaurant and you are clicking your picture on that restaurant table, just make sure there are no half eaten plates of food, dirty cutlery, dirty tissues lying around the frame. Just make sure your surrounding is fuss free. Non controversial, very important, especially in today's times. Avoid any kind of ethical, moral, cultural controversies that might arise from the background you're clicking your food in, if you know what I mean. Moving on to the examples. So this is basically a plank of wood, but it is so worn out. It has got this grayish color and it gives a really vintage vibe. And I have decorated it with some dry fallen leaves, so giving that whole spring kind of a vibe. So you can go for such backgrounds. Then a personal environment, great example. This is in Shantiniketan, and just by looking at the picture, you will be able to identify which place it is. It is Shonajhuri Hut, and you can just know that, okay, so when I was having that plate of momos, what exactly might have been my view, what exactly might have been the vibe of that entire place. Natural environment. So just go to your balcony and hold out your plate of food or anything and click pictures. You can always do that. It always looks nice. Classic black background. This is a DSLR shot. It's not a mobile photo, but it's just an example of how a black background, will appear in your photos. And as you guys have also mentioned, most of you do use black backgrounds. Another very interesting one, since the background here, which has been used here, it's a red and white sari. It's a traditional Bengali sari, and the dish here is also, like, the beverage is a traditional Bengali beverage. It is Gondhoraj Ghol. So what I have done is, since the beverage is completely white in color, to give it more context and give it more dimension, to give it a story, I have used this traditional sari in the background, and I've also topped it up with this green specks of lemon zest, which just adds another color to the frame other than the red and the white. Classic white background. So whenever, if your food item is a bit darker in color, or has darker shades, like this Nolen Gur bowl and the sauce on top and the spun sugar, so all of these are a bit darker shades. So this will probably not look that nice against a black background. So in those cases, opt for white backgrounds. More examples. Here we have actually fairy lights in the background. So it's a personal environment. It's my library, it's my mood board, and my fairy lights. So it's an absolutely personal environment, which is unique to me and me only. Nobody else will have this background, right? So always go for that. This one again, the background has a lot going on. There is this window pane, the glass of the window, and there is this textured wall sort of a thing. So it just makes the frame look very aesthetic and very appealing. So in this dish, it's a mobile photography, of course. So as you can see, the food item, it is peanut butter and oat pancakes. But as you can see, the main dish itself is not that colorful. It is just shades of brown. So what I have done is I have taken this picture against, my garden, in my garden, against some green plants and all, so that there is some color in the frame. So you can always use your garden and your plants as your background. So here you can see a heavily printed, a patterned background. I was saying avoid small prints. So why this? You might ask. This is because this was a Diwali hamper, a Diwali box. So I wanted the background to scream Indian. So these are traditional Indian motifs which just gave a lot of context to this box of sweets actually. Again, brown wooden backgrounds, as you can see. This is just a plain furniture, so one of the furnitures at my home. Plain and simple always works. Another personal background. So this background you will get only at airports, right? So if you are at an airport and if you are getting something for yourself to eat, why not go for this background? Because this background screams that you're traveling. So personal background. Again, the classic white background. So in this one, it is basically that white plate, that one white plate that I said, it is that white plate. And what I have done is I've plated my food in it and I have zoomed in and clicked the picture. So there is a floral tablecloth around it and everything, but you cannot see that. You can just see a white background on which there are just two pieces of brownies. So this is how you can go for different kinds of backgrounds. Okay, so another activity, quick one. Which of these backgrounds did you like the best, and do you think that you would like to experiment or try to implement in your upcoming food photographs? Let me know in the chat. I'm loving the responses. So as you can see, you guys, before I had shown you this background, present background slides, you guys had said black, white. Um, if not black, then I try to improvise, or maybe I try to use plants. But now all of you are saying plants and fairy lights and personal and natural environment and airport and gray. So I'm really happy that it actually made a difference to how you conceptualize your food photographs. So it's a great sign. Thumbs up for myself. Okay, moving on. Lighting. Very, very important, especially in mobile photography. We have to be very careful. Adequate light is of paramount importance because less light equals to less colors. So if there is adequate light is not available, your photographs would not come out to be as nice as it would have. The same frame, the same everything, the same camera settings, just the lighting will make a whole lot of difference. So utilize natural light. Go out to your balcony, go out in your garden. It can be anywhere where there is plenty of natural light, and just click your photos there. Too sunny, not recommended. It will burn your images. So be aware that whether it's too sunny or not. So if it's too sunny, maybe it's 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., go to a more shady portion where there is, there's more shade, and just click your pictures there. Consistent light source, very important. So if you're clicking multiple pictures and you want to upload them at one go as one whole story, make sure that the lighting is consistent throughout all those pictures. So when it's not sunny, what to do? Maximize your indoor lights. Again, very important. I am not at all suggesting you to waste electricity. I do not advocate that at all. So please do not waste electricity. You set up everything, you get your background ready, you place your food, you place your props. When everything is ready, go on and switch on the lights, click your pictures, see if they are fine, switch the lights off. So it's just a matter of 5 minutes. So maximize indoor lights. And when you are using indoor lights, try to balance with warm and white lights so that the colors come out to be more natural. Flash. So when there is no adequate light, it's not sunny and there is less light in your own room, what to do then? You can always go for flashes, but no direct flashes. Direct flashes will give you really ugly shadows. It will mess up with the color and tone of the dish. It will burn the images. In some cases it will just black out the background. Use secondary flashes. So when you're clicking the picture with your phone, just grab hold of another phone and just switch on its flashlight, place it and see how exactly it is illuminating your food. It just needs to illuminate your food properly, not burn it, right? So always go for secondary flashes. And yes, avoid colored lights. So green lights and red lights, they will just mess up with the whole look of the food item, and you will not be able to see its real colors. Coming to angles and framing, very, very, very important. And please listen very carefully. Angles and framing completely depends on the subject. Okay, the content and the subject is key. You have to experiment with angles. You have to see what works best with the kind of food item you are clicking. But in general, if we look at it in general, flat lays are highly recommended because in mobile photography, flat lays come out to look really nice. So what are flat lays? So like if your food is kept on this plate, you are supposed to hold your phone like this. So the phone should be parallelly above the plane on which your food items are kept. So that is a flat. I'll show you an example. 90 degrees is very important. So it has to be absolutely parallel. Focus on the subject. So just before clicking, focus on the, I think you all know this, but just repeating it once again. So just focus on the subject. Trust your instincts. Like if you think that, okay, it might not look that good, but it's TK chalo, I'll just, make do with it. Trust your instincts and believe in yourself. Don't settle for less. Click click multiple pictures, click it from different angles and see whatever works best, and then you can use that. Avoid incomplete frames. Mistake which a lot of us actually do, that is when I have 3-4 dishes in the same frame, I'm taking a flat lay or something like that. So sometimes maybe the bottom of a plate is getting cut off, or maybe one half of one plate is getting chopped off. So just look at the frame, just look at all the sides and see whether your frame is complete, and plan and execute a frame. So it's not always, it should not be random trial and error. Of course it is trial and error, but you should also have have a thought behind it. As we say, you should make photos, not just take photos. So just keeping your food and you're just taking a photo, not recommended. You should make the photo. How? You should think, plan and execute the frame. Coming to the examples, I'm sure you guys love looking at the examples. Flat lay. Okay, so there are so many food items out here, so it is not possible to click it from any other angle than a flat. So a flat lay looks best when there are so many multiple items in a frame. So this is a close-up. This is a DSLR shot, but then I have put it here to show you what is a close-up and what is the function of it. So this is basically Milka, which is stuffed with Oreos. Okay, so now I want my audience to know and understand what exactly to expect when they bite into this chocolate. So there is this thin layer of chocolate on the side, inside there's white chocolate, and in the center there are the Oreo cookies. So whenever you look at the frame, you know what exactly to expect when you taste this. So that is why in these cases, close-ups work the best. So this is a picture of a Blue Lagoon. So no, for drinks, I think the side angle always works, because if I had clicked it from a flat lay angle, like from the top like this, I would just see 2 circles with some blue eyes in it. So I would not be able to see the entire, the colors and the layering. So for drinks, it is preferable that you click the photo from the side. So if this is the plane on which your, okay, am I visible? Yeah, this is the plane on which your drinks is kept. Click the photo from here, not here. This is the flat lay and this is the side. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is a picture of a brownie. So in this picture, there are several criteria that I have to meet. I have to show the height of the brownie. Okay, I have to show the top, that it is covered with walnuts, it is topped with walnuts, and I also want to show that it comes with a chocolate fudge. So you have to see that from which angle you can meet all the criteria that is expected of you, that you will fulfill. So you have to show all the aspects of a particular dish, and that is why the angle is very important in this case. This one, this is a very tricky picture, one of my favorite pictures actually. That is Puri beach in the background, and this is my breakfast. So you can imagine the kind of wind that blows on a beach, right? So it was really super hard to hold my plate like that out of the balcony, and my plate was almost flying away. But if you look at the angle carefully, this has been taken from a 45-degree sort of an angle. Why? If I had taken it from the complete top, like a flat lay, the ocean in the background would not be visible. Okay, I would just probably see some of the road and some of the beach. Now if I had clicked it completely from the side like this, then all the items on the food on the plate would not have been visible. I would probably be able to see the beach and the ocean in the background, but not the food. So in this one, the angle is a very crucial factor. Okay, moving on. My mango chia pudding. So in this one again, I want to show that, okay, so this pudding has layers of mango puree and chia seeds. I want to show the layers, how the layers have been built up. Plus, I want to showcase the chopped mangoes and almonds and walnut, whatever. Oh, chia seeds, some chia seeds on top. So I want to showcase that as well. So again, it's kind of a 45-degree angle. So it's, and I also want to show that I have another portion of the dessert. It's not just a single portion. So again, angle, very important. Okay, moving on to props. Tell me, do you use props to decorate your frame? You must be using, and if you do, what kind of props do you use or you have used? I love how you respond so proactively. It really makes me, feel seen. Ki, okay, I'm not just going on lecturing and lecturing. It's actually an interactive session. I love that. Thank you so much for this. Okay, so coming to zero cost props. Props, we can always buy props, and there are so many pretty props available in the market, and I really feel like just going and buying all of them. But do we really need it? Is it necessary to make a picture look good? I don't think so. We can always use whatever is available at our home, and whatever is available around us, that can always easily be used as our props. So experiment with fabrics like saris, dupattas, denims, laces, furnishing, your curtains, your cushion covers, bed sheets, anything and everything. Experiment with materials, jute bags, wooden boards like chopping boards and stuff like that. Marble, if you have maybe a tile lying around, or anything, any slab or any tile, or even your floor actually. Add some natural elements, preferably real plants, and a lot of you already do that, so that's great to hear. And I love looking at pictures that have some natural elements. It always looks so pleasant. If you don't have real plants, you can always go for fake plants. That is also fine. Try using dish relevant and culture relevant props. I will show you an example to explain this better. So basically, whatever you are clicking, whatever the dish is, the content of the dish is, try to use props that add on to that content, and make a story, bring a story to your audience. Experiment with small showpieces and stationery, a great option, because it just makes your picture look so fun and quirky and modern, and it gives that personal touch. Relevant books, magazines, newspapers, you can always use great prop material and easily available. Add your personal flair to the frame. Just add things that make you happy, because until and unless it's genuine, it's original, and it tells a story, it doesn't really make sense. So your photograph, your food photograph, has to have that personal style to it. Add colors using props. So even if you are taking a black or white or simple background, even your food item, maybe it's just a white pasta, right? So you cannot really add a lot of colors to it. You can always add colors using props, but do not overdo it. Do not make it like a rainbow. Of course, if it's a rainbow cake, you can make it like a rainbow, but then otherwise just add a few colors using the props. And creatively use daily household items. The options are literally endless. Okay, moving on to examples. Just a second. Yeah. Okay, the first example. So this is a picture of Puri temple, Puri Jagannath temple, Mahaprasad. So I was traveling. I was naturally not carrying anything with me that could be a prop, for that matter. But we were given these banana leaves to have the food in, and I decided to use compile all those banana leaves together and use that as my prop. So it is just giving that really nice, that vibe that, okay, so it's a bhog, it's a prasad. So it just gives a really nice connotation to it. Another one, this is my cheesy baked chicken pasta. And here I have used candle holders and a lantern as my props. And I've also used other dishes in the background as my prop because, again, it just gives out that message that this is a part of a larger spread and this was not the only item on the dinner table that day. So it just gives more context. Yeah, so you can see what has been used as a prop here is the Mio Amor bag and Mio Amor boxes. So it was a brand collaboration, and just by looking at this picture, you will know, okay, so it's a Mio Amor cake. So you can always use the packaging and the boxes the food come in as your prop. In this one, I have used a couple of spoons and a couple of herbs, and there's this semi-traditional dupatta in the background. So the dish is a mango yogurt cheesecake sort of a thing. So it's not an Indian dish per se, but that semi-traditional background, it's a bit unconventional, and it just makes the picture a little bit more interesting. So here it's very interesting that this in this picture, the main focus, my main focus was this banana oats homemade cookies, and the mug of coffee here is actually a prop. Okay, so I have used the coffee and I have used Sneha Bhagat. The dupatta looks more like lights. Absolutely, exactly, because it is placed at a distance and the picture has been clicked with the DSLR, that one. So it actually looks more like, lights and all. Right, coming back to this, yeah, so I've used a book and I've used a mug of coffee to, showcase that, okay, so just gives out a vibe that, sitting at home in the evening or reading a book and with a hot cup of coffee, you would love having these banana oats cookies. Another very interesting one. What is interesting here is actually the shadow of the grill that is following. It's the grill from my balcony. So it's not accidental. It is intentional. I wanted to give out this vibe, this message that, sitting in your balcony on a winter afternoon, diving into a hot, steaming, plate of biryani with, lots of chicken and eggs. So it is to make a complete story. It is to tell a complete story. So that is why I have intentionally used these shadows as my props. I've played with the lighting a bit, and also there is of course that packet of the food which it came in. Again, this was a brand collaboration, so I wanted to add that brand touch to it. And the background is also, it's a fake grass rug that I have. So all of these have been used as props. Okay, next one, cheese corn roll. And I had, thankfully that day I had a few corn kernels lying around at my in my fridge. So I thought, why not? So just by looking at this picture, we know what this might taste like, right? So it will taste of corn. So I have used these ingredients as the prop here. Amaya has said, yes, the shadow looks incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Uh, Another biryani, a pot of biryani. This one again, I have clicked this. The prop is a curtain. It's a lace curtain that I've used, and the fresh marigold in the background. They also act as a prop. So yeah, next one. So that was real flowers, and now we have fake flowers, and they also work equally fine. I mean, this was at a restaurant, and I just picked up this flower pot from one of their shelves, and I just put it, next to my lasagna, and just clicked a photo of it, and it looks pretty good. Okay, so personal touch. I love fairy lights, and I have, that is why I've used fairy lights, a lot of fairy lights in this picture, a box of chocolates. So just like a box of chocolates makes you happy, makes you want to dig right in, fairy lights make me happy. So this is how I have added my personal flair, my personal touch to my photograph. Okay, next one. Yeah, so this is a plate of dhoka dal. It's a Bengali, traditional Bengali dish, and to resonate with that, the kind of dish it is, they have used a pot of rice and a small pot of water, and there are some fresh salad in the background. So this picture has actually been clicked by my interns, Shodhiti and Shaurika. There are a couple of very young, talented, budding girls who are doing really good job. You can follow them on Instagram. Spice Twins is the name of their handle. Spice Twins. They are twins. So this has been clicked by them, and I've borrowed this from them with their permission. So don't worry. Next, moving on. Right.
Hello.
So, hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi,
Yeah,
Andra.
please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. I'll just finish the presentation. I'll take the questions. Please don't mind. Okay. Yeah. So, moving on to the next one. So this is chocolate cupcakes, chocolate heart cupcakes, and here again I've used fake plants and fake flowers as my props. But what is interesting is the plate in which this has been served actually reflects a lot of light. So you can see those specks of rays coming out like a sunlight from around the plate. So it is intentional again. It the property of that plate, that reflecting light reflecting property of the plate, has been used as a prop in this one. Right, next, another beautiful picture by Spice Twins. You can see that there is a bowl of nimki and there are some rasgullas and there is a bharer cha. So all these, it's tea in an earthen pot. So all of this are actually quintessential Bengali, comfort food, we can say. So what they have done is they have used a Bengali newspaper in the background to give it that context. And if you see carefully, even the bowl in which the nimki has been plated has also been cleverly wrapped in Bengali newspaper. So we can always use props like these, which give our picture a context and tells a story. Okay, next one. This is a picture of gajar ka halwa. And in this one, all the ingredients that have gone into this halwa, namely there's sugar, there's carrots, and there's milk. So all of that have been used as the props. There's the whole carrot, there are some grated carrots, there are almonds lying here and there. Then there's the white bowl of sugar, and then also there's the bowl of milk. So altogether, it looks really nice. So as I was saying, using culture relevant or dish relevant props. This picture is a classic example of that. As you can see, these are pithe puli. So for those who don't know, let me just explain a little bit. So we Bengalis have this festival which is called the Posh Sankranti, and it happens in January month every year. So on that day, we make these special Bengali desserts at home. So and also we do some sort of a religious ritual and cultural rituals along with it. So just by looking at this picture, you will absolutely get that post Shankranti vibe, because there is this again the kashar bashon which I was saying, bronze alloy metal utensils used in the background. There are marigolds, there are diyas, there's a kashar diya, there's a earthen diya. Then there's this wooden spoon. Then you can see some rice, and then you can see slices of coconuts. So just by looking at this picture, you will get a lot of story. You will get the whole story of that whole festival. So it's basically the entire post Shankranti festival condensed to one single frame. Okay. Okay, now done with the clicking part. Now, how do we edit our pictures? Very, very important as clicking. Okay, first, before starting with this, do you edit your pictures? Please let me know in the chats. Fine. So most of us do, is what I am getting from your answers. Great. So let's go through it. Find a user-friendly application first of all. Do not yes or not edit. Yes. Post processing is the actual term, the technical term for it. Many of us might not know that. That is why I use the word editing. So find a user-friendly application. Don't go for really complicated apps just because you have been told that they are very good. Get something that you can use easily. Explore the various features and options. So you have to do it manually. Avoid presets. So just explore the different options available on that app. While editing, keep an average brightness on your phone, because what happens if we edit with maximum brightness on our phones, the photographs might turn out to be less edited, like under edited. And if we edit with very low brightness on our phone, the photographs tend to be over edited. Click photographs using the natural mode. Check your screen settings. So nowadays, if we look at our phones, we will be able to see that most phones have these several settings through which you can click your picture, like vivid and humid and this and that. So I would suggest just click it in the plain old natural settings, and then you can always post process. Okay. The essence of the actual dish should not be lost while editing. So for example, if you are clicking picture of a white sauce pasta, do not edit it in such a manner that the white starts looking yellow. Okay, the essence of the actual dish should not be lost. Frame correction is very important. If there are discrepancies in your frame, you can always correct them a little bit, the perspectives and the aspect ratio and all, you can always do that. But I would suggest do not click first and crop later, because phone photography, mobile photography is limited. The more you crop, the more the quality of the overall photograph goes down. So do not rely completely on post production. Click your picture in such a manner that you would just need minimal editing and you will be done. Okay. Resize according to your requirements. So for example, for in Instagram, you know, we upload either 4:5 ratio pictures, or we upload 1:1 ratio pictures. So while editing, you can always resize according to your requirements. Eyeball it, follow your instincts. Just, you know, let your eyes tell you what looks good and what doesn't. It's completely subjective, so you have to understand and to follow your instincts. Trial and error works fine. As I had said earlier, trial and error is obviously a great way to figure out what works for you. Keep the colors at an optimum level. Do not oversaturate or undersaturate. Do not make it too bright or too dull. Do not make it too sharp, or not sharp at all. And you have to keep the sharpness and clarity at an optimum. And also observe how the shadows and highlights play a role in your picture. So just go to the editing software that you use. It might be the inbuilt editing software in your mobile phone. It might be an app that you download. So just go to the shadows and highlights option and increase and decrease them and see exactly how they impact the look of your photograph. And yes, as I had mentioned earlier, avoid preset filters. So preset filters can never do full justice to your pictures. They might look good overall, but if you do it manually, the results will be much better, trust me. Going on to some examples. Right. Okay, so as you can see, this has been clicked in indoor lights. Okay, so what happened was the chicken, it did not look its natural color. It looked a bit dark. So what I have done through editing, I have brought it back to the natural color, which it actually was when I had cooked the dish. And also, if you see carefully, the background, the brightness of the background has not been changed. So it has not been illuminated further, and it has been blurred out a little bit to give the dish some texture, some textural variation, and the dish itself have been illuminated. Frame correction. So the frame correction has been done here. If you can see the previous one and the next one, you will be able to see that the bottom left corner that has been pulled up a little bit. So the frame has been corrected and also the color has been corrected. Same in this case. So as you can see, there is not a hell and heaven difference between the before and after. So you have to click your photos in such a way that you do not require over editing. So just some editing touches and you will be done. Okay, this one. This is a very interesting one, because if you see, not only has the color and the brightness and all have been changed, but also the perspective of the dish has been changed. So after clicking the photo, I realized that I need to pull down the perspective a little bit. So I have done that to make this look, make the square shape of the dish look more realistic. Okay, another picture of that was a chicken stroganoff recipe. The next one, this is a chocolate pancake, and it's dripping with chocolate ice cream and chocolate sauce and everything. So what I have done is this was also clicked in indoor light. So I have just janked up the So I have janked up the clarity a little bit and also color corrected a little bit. So here you can see that the aspect ratio has been changed. So the second picture, like the picture on the bottom, this was for Instagram. So I have resized it to a 4:5 ratio, and of course the color and all have been corrected, since again it has been taken in indoor lights. Watermark. How many of you watermark your pictures? Please let me know in the chats. Yes, yes, no, not me. I don't. Okay. So it's 50-50. 50% of you do and 50% of you don't. Don't. Yes. No, but I will. Okay. No. Okay, fine. So coming to watermarks is actually of supreme importance because nowadays plagiarism has become such a menace. Just this last day, day before yesterday, one of my friends, he sent me a picture of a screenshot of this man who has just downloaded photos from my page and uploaded it in his personal profile with no caption, nothing, just uploaded it randomly. So you never know why and how people will plagiarize your photos. So watermark everything that you put out. Use either copyright your name or copyright your brand name or your logo. Okay. Placement and position always matters. I will show you in details when we move on to the next slide with the example. So placement and position matters. It should not interfere with the aesthetics of the dish. So it should not take away from the dish or it should not divert attention away from the dish. The font, shape, and size should be uniform. It's preferable that you keep it uniform across all your photos. It just looks more professional. Okay. Experiment with the opacity. Opacity refers to how transparent that text is. Okay. So experiment with the opacity. Do trial and error and then finalize that which format, which font, which color actually suits your picture, your photographs. The watermark should be simple and comprehensible. Avoid lengthy names as watermarks. Avoid too many complicated words or texts. And watermark everything that you put out. So even if you think that this picture is not up to the standard, it's not that good, I do not need to watermark it. Still, watermark everything you put out. There is no harm in it, right? So why not? Coming to the examples. So in this picture, you can see there's this huge long watermark. Oindrila Paul, my food blog, Kolkata. Unnecessary. Instead, go for something like this. I have written my food blog. I could have also written just Oindrila or Oindrila Paul, whatever. Just go for a short and sweet watermark that will just do its job. Don't make it too lengthy. Okay. Next one. So here the watermark has been used right in the center of the photo and across the dish. And many people do that, but there is a way to how we do that. If we put the watermark in this manner, like I have used in this particular picture, it will just ruin the vibe of the dish and it will just, not make it look that appealing. So for that, it's completely okay if you want to put your watermark in the center of your dish in such a place that nobody will be able to easily wipe it off or chop it off or crop it down. So you can go for something like this. So in here also I have used the watermark. It's right in the center, in the middle of the dish, but I have used a smaller font and I have increased the opacity, so it's semi-transparent, the watermark. So it's not really grabbing all the attention the moment you see the picture, but it's very much there and it's very much visible. Moving on. So yeah, so if you wish to use your logo as your watermark, you can always do that, but do not make the logo so big or so evident that again it takes away attention from the main dish. Instead, we can go with something like this, where the logo is very much there. It's again, the opacity has been increased and it is put at a corner. You can always do that. Out of all three, if we wish to really prevent plagiarism, the best one is to go with the watermark in the center, but that takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of experience to understand how exactly you can put the watermark somewhere from where it cannot be cropped, and also how it will look on the picture. Okay. So be original, be smart, develop your own style. You can always draw inspiration, but do not copy. Just make a niche for yourself. We can always grab ideas, we can look for ideas, we can get ideas, but we should always do something which is genuine, which is original. So that is where, you know, that glory lies. There is no glory in copying a really good photograph and making a really good photograph which is just a copy. There is no glory or no, you know, that this thing in that, pride in that. It's better you be original. Track your audience's feedback, uh, not just feedback in the sense the comments, but also, you know, which photographs are getting more engagement, more views, more likes, which photos are making your friends say, oh my god, I just want to have this right now. So just track how your audience reacts to your photos. So that is a very good way to understand what works and what doesn't. Put your thought in a frame. As I had mentioned earlier, we do not just take photos, we make photos. So we have to think, we have to put our thought and our ideas into a frame and then plan it out and then click the picture. Explore your creative limits. Creativity, as we know, is boundless, it's limitless. So be as creative as you want, be as creative as you can be, and just, you know, make it your own it. Think smart, be jugaru. So it's very important, and I think it's very much relevant, especially in Indian households. Jugar always works. Jugar is fantastic, and we always do not really need to buy props and devices and you know, equipments at the drop of a hat. We can always recycle, we can use whatever is available. Experiment with props and backgrounds and see what works. As I had said, there are no hard and fast rules. Be updated with the latest trends. It's always good to remain within the trends. It's always good to create content that is trending at the moment, but then mix and match classic and trending styles to make it relevant and to make it original. Take multiple shots until satisfied. It's you cannot just settle for click just one or two pictures and just settle down. Of course you can do that, even sometimes I do that, but that has come with a lot of experience, right? If you're a beginner, I would suggest that you take multiple shots until you are absolutely satisfied. Most importantly, make them rule, you know, irrespective of the technicalities, irrespective of the colors and theory and all of that. Your food photograph should be such that the moment anyone sees it, they just immediately want to eat that dish. So that is the whole essence of food photography. Okay, so we have almost reached the end. I'll just summarize whatever we have learned in this session. We have learned how to present our food. We have learned how to use crockery, you know, what kind of crockery to use and how to use them, and for which kind of dishes. We have learned about different kinds of backgrounds. We have learned about angles and framing. We have learned about lightings and zero cost props. And we have learned how to edit and how to put our watermarks. And we have taken back that we have to be original and enjoy the process. So enjoying the process is very important. Until if it's a task to you that, oh my god, I have to click the picture you know, quickly so that my food doesn't get cold, and it's you're not happy in the process. So if you're not enjoying the process, there is no point to anything, not just food photography, to life in general. If you are not enjoying something, there is no use doing it. Okay. And before I hand this back to Orko Prabhu, this session, we'll be starting with the Q&A session after this. So before that, I just have a very interesting exercise for all of you. So please listen carefully. It's a very simple exercise. It's not nothing compulsory or anything, but please do it if you have time and if you you know, feel like doing it. You can follow whatever, you know, we have talked about, discussed in this presentation, in this session, and just use these tips and tricks to click your food pictures. And whenever you upload them on your social media, please tag us. Okay, it's easier to find us, like to tag us on Instagram, because if you tag our page has so much of traffic, sometimes we kind of miss out. But on Instagram, it's easier because all the tagged posts, they appear in the tagged post section. So even if there is a lot of traffic, we will not miss out, and we will be able to see all of them, and we will give you original constructive feedback. We will give shout outs, we will repost some pictures if they're really nice. So I really just want you to apply whatever you learned in this session in your real life, and you know, apply them further when you're clicking food photographs. And food can be anything. It can also be a plate of puffed rice, or maybe a slice of cheese toast. It can be anything, but how you click it is important. So I just want to see how you're clicking your food, and please do tag us and show us whatever you've clicked, and you will get good constructive feedback that will help you improve on those photos, and we will also give shout outs and we will repost your photos. Okay. So Orko Prabhu, over to you. I think Orko has some announcement to make, so I'll just hand this over to him.
Hi guys, so I am back and I have to say, Anjula, it was a very good session indeed. I did not really expect our first session to be this good, and really, it was amazing. And so, yeah, we have a few announcements to make. So, Anila, next slide, please.
Yeah.
So, this is about what you guys will be receiving from us in the coming days. That is, on Instagram, you will be receiving Insta food reels. You will be receiving easy recipes series on IGTV that will be specifically made so that anybody can make those kind of recipes at home. And there will all be also a healthy recipe series on IG, which you will be able to follow if you are a health freak or a fitness enthusiast or anything like that. Plus, we have finally incorporated my food blog with potpourri vlogs on our YouTube channel. So we will be uploading foodie special playlists on our YouTube channel, that is potpourri vlogs. And also with Instagram, we will be launching homemade food section on our Facebook page. So this is all with what we will be pushing ourselves harder for you guys. So this is what we all will be producing for you. So let me say this first, that you guys have been sending in amazing set of questions, and I have a long list of them, and we will definitely try to answer each and like all of them